Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Hello, Alpa.
Hi, Caroline. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm doing amazingly well and super excited today because we're into our fourth day of our Success Bootcamp. We've got a very special guest today as well, which I'm excited to bring on very quickly.
Yes. Oh, yes. Hey, Alpa, I want to say thank you. What an amazing week. We had so many comments on the messenger, on email, on text. I had a lot of fun, and I think people got something from this. So thank you so much. And I look forward for today.
Oh, you're
Um,
welcome.
Alpa, do you just want to reintroduce yourself for those who were not there since the beginning of the week?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, my name's Alpa Pandya. I'm a mind and thought transformation expert. I help people achieve exactly what they want by finding out what's keeping them and what's holding them back from achieving what it is that they want. And this is all using a proven process that works every time you use it. I'm also a BBC radio presenter, an entrepreneur, help loads of other businesses out there grow, stretch, and achieve what it is that they want.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I'm Caroline Doyle. I'm a French Canadian from Montreal. I was a lawyer managing corporation and 2015 moved to Alabama, reinvent myself, become a life insurance agent, and then the first woman partner for a Fortune 100 company in the South for Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. So I always achieve a lot of success really quick. And right now, I moved back to Montreal. I shift my career to be a coach. And I have so much fun helping people to say, you're here, we're going to the next level. Let's do it together. And that's what I do. I help business owner like you, insurance agents, insurance manager, realtors to say, let's take your business to the next level. So, what are we talking about today?
Well, if we do a quick recap of what we did over the last 4 days. So, of course, we started off with goals and why it's so important to have goals. What are the right type of goals that you need to set? Because most of the time people are setting the wrong goals and then they don't achieve anything. Day 2, Tuesday, we spoke about self-image, which is super important. How self-image can actually hinder you from achieving your goal and how you actually change and transform your self-image. And then yesterday, of course, we spoke about persistence and why that is super important when we're achieving our goals and going after what we truly want. And today we're talking about decision, which is one of the most important things when you're actually going after what it is that you seriously want.
Oh, I love it. So let's introduce right now our guests. So we have the pleasure to introduce you Doug Dane, who's the International Sales Director of Proctor Gallagher. Hello,
I
Doug.
love that the French and the Italian, the way they say my name in Italy, it wasn't Doug, it was duck. I go, no, Doug. They go, duck, quack, quack. No, Doug. Doug. Call me whatever you want. Good morning.
Hello, Doug. Thank you so much to be with us.
My
Do you
pleasure.
mind to introduce a little bit yourself?
Well, I listened to your beautiful introduction. I'm thinking, people, you don't want to hear about me. I'll probably let my answers stand on their own. But suffice to say, obviously, my name is Doug Dane. You can see that on camera. I live in Toronto, Canada, about an hour away from Bob Proctor and the PGI studio. And I'm the International Sales Director for the Proctor Gallagher Institute. And so I run our coaching consulting division. And I also mentor and coach people myself. And I'm just here to help you guys today. So,
Thank you so much. We like working with Doug because he has so much experience and he always brings added value. So, Doug, today we have a couple questions for you because of your experience, we always receive something. So we were like, let's make sure Doug can share with everyone.
okay.
So the first question that we have for you, can you explain to us what goes through a person's mind when they take an important decision? It could be starting a business, could be financially, could be having a promotion, buying a house. What goes through a mind of a person when they have to take an important decision?
That depends on, I guess, a couple of things. If it's something if it's something you know how to do and you have experience, which would mean you would have confidence, then it's probably not that big of a deal. Probably not much goes on other than, typically the way we were raised and educated. You probably ask for some opinions. You probably get some ideas of how you're going to do it. You probably bounce that off a few people. So one thing we've learned that is contradictory to being effective, and that is asking people for their opinion. Now, if it's something you've never done before, so all this week, I'm sure, as Alpa and Caroline have been talking to you, whether you've been live or watching the replays, they've gotten you to think up here. You came in down here, and you're thinking up here. What I mean is that they're just trying to get you to think at a much higher level, way beyond your perceived limits. You'll never, I wouldn't doubt your limits because you'll never reach them. So they get you up here, and then you've been thinking about what you'd really like to do, and they've been challenging you to think about that, and you've been thinking about it. It just comes to the surface. You can't keep it down. And so as it comes to the surface, you go, you know what? I'm going to quit my job and start my life, or I'm going to start that business, or I'm going to take that, what they call them side hustles now, this little business I got, and I'm going to really multiply it. Or I'm a leader, and I'm going to really, like when I was in business, I was running a team. We were doing 100 million. I go, we can do 1 billion. We never did 1 billion, but I kept thinking we could do 1 billion. You get these ideas. So if it's something you've never done before, what happens? The first thing that runs through your mind, what you think it is, you think it's fear. Fear actually comes after, and you actually create the fear all on your own, and that's by indecision. So we weren't taught to make decisions. We were taught to, hey, you should think about it. Why don't you go ask your mother what she thinks? Why don't you go ask your father what he thinks? Why don't you go ask your boss what he or she thinks? And we've been conditioned to gather more information about our idea before we decide to do it, or you better figure this all out before you begin. And that's backwards. That's the wrong way to do it. So most people, they have these amazing ideas and they don't go anywhere because they put it off. And it's the indecision that creates the doubt. And then if you get an idea, you should act on it like right away, right? Just boom, right away, act on it. And if you knew where the ideas were coming from, you'd act on it right away. But we don't. We go, let me think about it. And as you think about it, that creates doubt. And then the indecision and doubt mix together to become fear. And then you're stuck. And then, of course, you come up with all kinds of excuses and alibis and facts to justify why you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you've kind of answered the question. I was going to ask, why is decision making so important to our success?
Well, nothing happens. I mean, it sounds so silly, really, as I say it, but nothing happens until you make a decision. Now, if you think about anything that you've done that was big to you, could have been anything. Could have been, buying the dream home. It could have been like, venturing out and doing something you wanted to really do. And so you've made decisions. As soon as you made the decision, then everything lined up. But again, if it was the first kind of decision, like I mentioned earlier, where it was just something that you knew you could do, then you just decided. And then whether you were aware of it or not, all the dots just started to connect, right? But we were taught to procrastinate. It's a habit. And so, I mean, anybody that's successful, and I had to learn to do this. I was a terrible decision maker. I was a great procrastinator. I was really good at it. I had spreadsheets up the wazoo. And I remember one of my business partners going, Doug, why don't you just go do something? Analysis paralysis, he called it. And it's because I was, for two things. Number one, I lacked confidence in certain areas. Now, you wouldn't have known that. On the outside, it looked like I had it all together. And I had it together in some respects in my life. I was doing pretty well. But I lacked the confidence to pull something off. Plus, I was brought up to be left brain thinking. I wasn't born that way. I was nurtured to be left brain through my experiences. So I became very analytical. I asked a lot of questions. I remember some people heard the story when I met Bob for the first time. I went down to his office in Toronto when I was thinking about getting into this business and working with him. I had 15 questions printed out. And I'm meeting Bob Proctor, so I better be prepared, right? And I get to his house, and he's got it's got like 3 pages printed out. And he looks at me, and he looks at the questions. He looks at me, tears them up, and he throws them in the garbage. He says, "You know what your problem is?" I'm just looking at him, because you can't make a friggin' decision. And he said, "If I answer these 15 questions, you're going to come back with 15 more." And he was right. So I had to learn to make decisions quickly. And then as you start to study this, if you're a client, listen to this, or you decide to work with us and get into this program, we teach you these principles. It's a recipe. There's a formula in this book that Bob was brought up on Think and Grow Rich. There's 13 principles in Thinking and Results, the program that basically is the basis of this, or what's in this is in Thinking and Results. It's got 12 principles to it, and so you need to learn these principles. And there's a formula. One of them, there's a whole chapter in that book. One of them is making decisions really quick. And when you understand what I said earlier, when you understand where the ideas come from, now we're not going to get into that, but when you understand where the ideas, your ideas actually come from, you would treat them with respect and you would act on them immediately. But it's just a habit. We weren't taught to make decisions. And that's it. So just make your mind up right now today. Go, you know what? That's it. I'm done. That's what I have to do. I'm done. Bob Proctor tearing up my questions, that was a wake-up call. And so I'm trying to wake you up right now. Just make your mind up right now. That's it. I'm going to become a decision maker, and then practice it.
And can I add something, Doug? I like what you're sharing, but you were saying that you were a manager, you had a business, but you were able to take decision to be on those kind of position.
Sorry, say what's the last part?
I said you were able to take decision if you were a manager or running a business. So how, when you met Bob, you figure out that you were not able to take decision before, if previously in your life you had position that you were a decision maker?
Well, that was interesting because at the time, like I spent 25 years in the financial services industry here in Canada, primarily in the mortgage business. And I was in sales. I was a sales manager. I taught salespeople, and then I was teaching and leading salespeople, sales managers, and I had an organization I was running right across the country. We had thousands of people across the country. I was fairly confident in that business, but when then I was getting into this business, I had no experience, and it was all new to me. So I was nervous. I was uncomfortable. I was uncertain. Again, being the analytical guy, I couldn't see the how or the path. I didn't know, how it was going to unfold. And that day, Bob said, "Listen, you got to trust me. You got to trust me that the how will show up. Stop focusing on the how." He said, "I'll help you, but you got to do exactly what I tell you to do. And I'm telling you, don't focus on the how." Then, not long after, a couple years later, I thought, isn't that a bugger? I was so nervous and uncomfortable. I'd spent 25 years developing people to earn more money. And so I was already doing that for 25 years, but I couldn't make the connection because I was so uncomfortable about the future. And I was worried about the future and what this looked like. I had no idea what it looked like. And you know what? It didn't happen the way I thought it was going to happen. It happened in a much bigger and better way. And it just keeps getting bigger and better. Still, Bob says always, he goes, "You'll need a telescope to look back on yourself 6 months later." And I thought, "Oh yeah, whatever, Bob. I'm telling you, I just need a bigger and bigger telescope, and so will you." It's just crazy how this happens.
I love it. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, no problem.
The other thing on decision, Doug, is there's 2 types of decision, isn't there? There's decision that we just make, but then nothing really happens with it. And then there's a committed decision. So what's the difference between the 2?
Well, I think a decision is a decision. People say they've decided. They haven't decided. They're still thinking about it, because if they decided, they would be taking action. So a committed decision is irrevocable. The word decision comes from a Latin word that means to cut off. So you go, okay, I'm cutting off and I'm doing this now. In Think and Grow Rich, there's a story about a general that lands on the beach with his army to take the country. He said, and they burn the ships. So we either win or we perish. So that's real decision. It's kind of like, I remember listening to somebody talking about decision, and it's kind of like God and the universe are just kind of waiting around for you, you know. Now, if you want to stay where you're at and stay in the comfort zone and keep living the way you're living, even if you're not satisfied, or you might be doing well, but you could do better, but you kind of, I'm just going to stick with what I've got. That's fine. Nobody's going to judge you for that. God and the universe going, hey, no problem, Doug, whatever you want to do, we're with you. But we know what you want, and we're just waiting around for you to decide. And when you do, then we will hand over the plans that you need. But there's no point handing the plan to you because you've not decided to do it. And so just as God knows or the universe knows, whether you've decided or not. Yeah. And in most cases, you probably haven't. And that's the difference. And I remember a client saying, and she was really struggling, very analytical, lots of questions, very low self-esteem. And one day it just hit her. And she goes, decision is the door. I go, yes. As soon as you decide, the door opens and then you can see. But if you're on the other side of the door thinking, I'd like to go there, but you don't open the door and step through, nothing's going to happen. That's the difference. And you gotta understand how your mind works. Your mind this is proven in the early 50s and 60s. Your mind it's a built-in automatic goal-seeking mechanism. It's a cybernetic mechanism. It's like a missile or a torpedo. Or today we have these GPSs on our phone, right? And you put in an address, and you hit go, and you start driving, and this thing will call out the direction turn by turn by turn. And if you get stuck, or you hit traffic, or there's a road closure, all you got to do is make a turn, and it automatically recalculates the route. And you don't worry while you're driving. You're not wondering, I wonder what's going to happen 10 miles down the road. You don't do that. You just drive. Well, that's how your mind works. So when you work with us, we teach you how to use this machine properly. And when you understand how it works, you trust it. You rely on it. You relax. You're more confident because you know that tomorrow you'll get everything you need tomorrow. Today, you only have to get what you need today. You don't have to worry about tomorrow. You got to know where you're going, but you don't have to worry about how you're going to get there tomorrow. It'll all show up for you if you trust the process and use your mind properly. And that's what we teach you. It's called thinking into results. We teach you how to think properly. Most people don't think, and they certainly don't think properly.
And that brings us to the next question. So, Doug, you've been with Proctor Gallagher since 7 years. Mm-hmm. What is the difference between what we're coaching, what we're teaching? What is thinking to result compares to what other coach or sharing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Now, if you're watching right now, I know what you're thinking. You're, well, obviously, Doug, you're going to be biased. Well, no, but listen, if you really knew me personally, then you know the kind of man that I am. And so I'm just going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you straight. I am biased, not because I work for Proctor Gallagher. I am biased because I'm very experienced. Okay. I've been in business since I was 23. I'm 57 now. And I've been through it all. I had a terrible life starting out, terrible life. So much so, it was like on the front page of newspapers and television and in books. It was a brutal life. But then I converted it to, I call it from abuse to abundance. And I was on a quest early on because I knew I could do better. And I always felt like there's something wrong with me. I go, what the hell's wrong? So I kept trying to find out what was wrong with me. And so I've been around the block a lot. I've been through all kinds of training programs in sales, in leadership, in personal development. I mean, I was following all the greats back in the late 80s and early 90s, all kinds of people. Tony Robbins, Harvey Mackay, Brian Tracy, Bob Proctor. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I met Bob in 1989 at a seminar. That was my wake-up call around money. I finally figured out why I wasn't earning money. And within a year, I was in the top in the country because I learned at that weekend event. But then I went along and I kept doing, I kind of forgot what Bob had taught me. And then I did what everybody does. At the time, I was buying lots of shelf help, buying books, at the time cassettes, and then it turned into DVDs. And I was buying all this shelf help. And so I'd buy the book, I'd read the book, I'd enjoy it. Nothing would change, so I'd go buy another book. And And that's still going on today. Now, what's going on today is a couple of things. There is a sea of coaches online. With the onslaught of internet and social media and YouTube, there's all this amazing information out there, but it's not very well organized. And so what are people doing? They're sitting on their phone and they're scrolling and they're swiping and they're watching all these videos, getting themselves all fired up. It's like they're not really happy in their life, so they hop on YouTube just to get their ears tickled. And then they feel good for a little while, maybe a day or a couple, and they're fine and life is good again. But they don't go anywhere. Like they pretty much stay in the same spot. Now, what makes us different, and nobody's doing what we're doing, and I've been through. You can throw anything at me. I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people, and a lot of my clients have come to me from doing all kinds of things that you might be doing or thinking about doing. All kinds of different programs and organizations, and it's all great stuff. But if you don't go after the root cause of what's actually causing you to do what you do, then nothing much changes. And that's what we do. So we go at the root cause, not the effect. Everybody's working on the effect. So, there's nothing worse than watching something or studying something or taking a program. It gets you all fired up, but you're going in the wrong direction. That's a problem. And so people, they're out there all over the place looking for the answer. You're looking to do better. You're looking for an answer. And you're looking in the wrong places. You're talking to the wrong people, and you're doing the wrong things. And that's why you're not getting anywhere. And so when I talk to you, or when Alpa talks to you, or Caroline, or when our consultants talk to you, they're very well trained. And these two ladies are really good at what they do. They're very well trained to ask you some really important questions. And what it does, it draws out what's going on inside. And right away, we know what you need to change. And then when you change that, then you take off like a rocket. And that's the big difference. And the other thing is, we've got a track record in Bob Proctor, 60 years of teaching this information. And we have hundreds and hundreds of people every single week, more than hundreds, thousands of people every week joining the Proctor Gallagher Institute to study this information. And I remember Bob saying in one of his lessons, he said, he was holding up this book, Think and Grow Rich. He said, I figure this guy spent almost his entire life researching and writing this book. He spent 25 years analyzing 25,000 people. Bob said, I figure if this guy spent his whole life writing this book, I think I'll spend my whole life studying this book. And I heard that, I thought, geez, since Bob had spent his whole life teaching what's in this book, I think I'm going to dedicate my life to following what Bob is teaching. I figure there's no better source than him. There's nobody around as long as him with the experience as him. And so for me, that's what makes it different. And again, there's lots of great stuff out there. I'm not downplaying anything. It's all part of the process and all part of your journey. But just make sure you're not looking in the wrong places for the wrong information, because that's, it's very, like, if you go to the shelf help stores, the bookstores, when I was into shelf help, there was one shelf, about 6 feet high, double-sided. Well, now there's an entire section, and here's what I discovered. Everybody's saying pretty much the same thing. What I love about Bob and what we do is it's very well organized. It's intelligently directed. It's simple. And the cool thing about this, folks, too, is not just what we teach. Everything that we're teaching and everything you need to figure out, it's really friggin' simple. But you want to make it complicated, because your brain and the way you're educated and the way that you're raised and the way you're taught to make decisions, you go, it's got to be hard. It's got to be difficult. It's going to take a long time. No, it's not. It's not an overnight pill, but it will happen very quickly if you follow the rules. And we give you the rules.
Yeah, amazing. Love it. Okay, so I'm just going to ask you, those people who are sitting on the fence, and there's many of them, there's probably loads watching right now who are still, should I, shouldn't I, would I, should I, all that kind of stuff. What would you say to them?
The first thing that came to my mind, if you're sitting on the fence, you probably have a stick up your ass. What would I say? Well, okay, first off, listen, I was listening to a video that we recorded. A good friend of mine, he's a doctor, he's a consultant with us, and he was telling a story this morning online about how this information healed his son. And he's a really genuine, honorable man. You can just see it, and you can just feel it. He said in his videos, if this resonates with you, in this case, if he was talking to Alpa and Caroline, if what Alpa and Caroline have said to you resonates with you, if you followed Bob in any way, listen to him, if that resonates with you, if anything this week resonated with you, the reason it resonates with you is because it's the truth. Okay? The truth always feels right, and the truth always feels good. Okay? And what you're doing is you're picking up ideas and information through your intuition. And that's the way you pick up ideas. I mentioned if you understood where your ideas came from, you pick it up through your intuition, and it comes in the form of a feeling. And if it's a good idea, it feels good. But then you have to understand what happens right away. As soon as you get excited about an idea of something you like to do, you've never done before, or you don't know how to do it, automatically, and if you understand how your mind works, automatically something kicks in inside. You've got this mental program, and it creates doubt and excuses and alibis, and you procrastinate. Okay, so the idea comes first, but then the program kicks in and boots it back out again, and then you justify. Some of you are watching, here comes the sale. They're trying to sell me something. We are trying to sell you something. The amount of money that you spend, the investment on this, it's a short-term, small investment with a huge long-term permanent return. So if you're sitting on the fence, just follow your intuition. Don't follow your intellect. He says in this book, I love it. He goes, when ideas come to you, they come in the form of hunches and inspirations. He said, act on them immediately. Failure to do so is fatal to your success. He said, do not rely on your reason. Your reason is faulty. Now, this is not just some guy's opinion. Napoleon Hill interviewed 25,000 people over 25 years, 500 of the most successful people in the world. This is a data collection of the most successful people at the time, early 1900s. And I figure this guy must know what he's talking about. And that's what he says. So if you're sitting on the fence and you want to do it, you're just scared and nervous. You got to trust us. Okay? These two people they're the real deal. They're genuine. They care. They got big hearts. They're very bright and intelligent. They're very successful themselves. They know what they're talking about. And I said they're very well trained. But you gotta take a bit of a risk. And I think a lot of people I think of all the money I spent on stuff that I didn't even do. I remember one year I bought 2 programs. It was $15,000 US for the 2 of them. I didn't even open them, We've all bought things that just didn't work for us. But if you give these people a chance, if you give us a chance to find out where you want to go and what's getting in your way, we'll show you how to get there. And Bob says that. She says, just tell me what you want, and I'll show you how to get it. We also show you why you're not getting it. So if you're on the fence, just get the hell off the fence. Either way, okay? Either just get off the fence or jump in and let's do it. And I'd love to meet you at one of our events when we have them again.
Thank you, Doug. That was good. So,
Caroline,
yes.
I was just going to say, any more questions for our star guest today?
No, I think, I can spend hours listening to Doug because, you have so much experience and you always bring added value. But no, not. What will be your final message?
Well, it's funny. I was thinking about this morning because we didn't talk before the call. You just asked me to hop on here, and I was thinking, what do I want to say? And I got an answer to the questions. It's funny. We teach you how to ask questions, and you can begin to eventually mentor yourself. So I go, what should I bring to these people today? And the answer I got was there's 4 kinds of people typically on this call now or watching the replay. And some people, they're really struggling but you're here because you want more, and you know you could be doing better. But there's people that are struggling and they don't really know why. They're just struggling. And so we call those people unconscious incompetence. They're not doing well. And they don't really know why. And I'm actually, I guess maybe the reason I got the answer to talk about this is because I was reflecting on my own life. So I was really screwing up, and I had no idea why. Then I became a conscious incompetent. So I still wasn't doing well, but now I was aware as to why I wasn't doing well. And for a long time, I stayed there because I was still locked in the idea that things couldn't change because of my experiences and, what it was like growing up for me, et cetera. And then I started hearing about this idea between a conscious and an unconscious competent. So if you're doing well in any area of your life, you're competent, you're doing well, but most people don't really know why they're doing well. They're doing well. Like if you're a sales leader, a sales manager, you have people on your team and they're doing well, but you don't really know why they're doing well. And if I asked you why, you'd tell me why. And you'd say, well, they're lucky and they work hard and they have lots of contacts. They got a good personality, whatever. And if I asked them why they're successful, they would probably say the same thing, but that's not really what it is. And I know that you don't know and they don't know. Otherwise, you could duplicate them like it's going out of style. You'd take your whole team and convert them all to top producers. So you don't know what's making them successful. What you want to become is a conscious competent. You want to get really good at what you do. And you want to understand why you're good at what you do and how you become good at what you do. And so the wonderful thing about investing in you, and it's Jim Rohn that I'm going to borrow from. I got a little book in my bookshelf here. It was a book that Jim Rohn and Bob Proctor only worked together one time in their entire career. They crossed paths, but there's one time where they shared a stage at an event. And afterwards, a gentleman that worked with Jim interviewed Bob and Jim, and there's this little book. I think it's called The Success Principles or something like that. Anyway, Jim Rohn said the best money that you can spend is on your own personal development, because what that does is it increases your value to the marketplace. And the more value you bring to the marketplace by law, the marketplace pays you. So all you got to worry about is getting good at what you do and become a better version of yourself. And the only reason you're not doing as well as you're doing is because you're not consciously aware of why you're doing what you're doing or why you're not doing what you could be doing. And then when you get to that stage, man, oh man, the sky is the limit. And so just make a decision of where you're going to be. I understand now why they say ignorance is bliss, Ignorance is just lack of awareness. It's a lot easier to be ignorant. This does take some work. It does take some effort. It does take persistence, as Alp and Caroline talked to you about. But I'm telling you, your life will change. Everything around you will change. Your relationships, your family, if you're a parent, your kids will change. Your health will change. Your confidence will go through the roof. You'll stop second guessing yourself. If you got a story like I had, you'll let it all go. Your past won't dictate your future. Yeah. You'll live in the moment. You'll live in the now. You'll be free. You'll be happy. Will you have hard times? Yes, but you won't stay there. Everything just gets better and better, and it's compounding. It's like compound interest. If you know what compound interest is, interest on interest. Well, your better gets better on your better. Better squared. It just gets better, but it's up to you. You got to make the decision that your way is not working. So, like Bob would say, why not try mine? Why not try ours?
Yeah. I love it. Wow.
That's it.
I love it. That's amazing. Doug, thank you so much for everything you said and for your time to be here today with us. I'll got one final thought before we meet our people tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just absolutely amazed by what you've just said, and you've echoed quite a lot of what we've been saying over these last 5 days, Doug. And it's just about making a decision, isn't it? And getting off that fence, because your bum's probably really sore now. Get off the fence, make the decision. Book a call in with us, and on my Facebook group, there's a link for you to book a call in. Let's have that chat today. I've blocked out some time today and over the weekend as well, so let's have a chat. Caroline, I'm sure you're doing the same as well. And let's get you where you really want to get to.
Yes. Yes, you can schedule a call. You have our contact information in each Facebook group. And if it's just having a conversation about your goal, are you clear about your goal? That's the first step.
Yeah.
So, and tomorrow, what do we have tomorrow at the agenda, Alpa?
We've got a roundtable, so we're actually having some more guests. So a few people that I've been working with, they'll be talking about what they've achieved through the thinking to results process, which is what you've heard Doug speak about today. And Caroline, you've got the same as well, haven't you?
Yes, and some story, to be honest, make me cry, because it's just unbelievable that everybody is going through the same transformation. They don't have the same challenge, but they're going through the same transformation. If I can share a little bit at the beginning, when you're successful in your life, you think that you have, and it's not an ego thing, but you think you have a special gift. When I got this material at first, I was like, oh, maybe because I have this special gift, I just absorb quickly and I move forward. But then when I saw the transformation on every of my client, and each time I really want to cry, because it's just amazing. I was like, you know what? I'm so glad to know that it's not me. It make a difference in everybody's life. And this is amazing. I like when I coach every week and they start with their win. And I will say generally on week 6, oh my God, win after win. And everybody said it's falling from the sky. And it's so much fun. It brings tears to just say, wow, that's our job. Our job is helping people to say, you're here, you're going to the next level. I just help you to be more successful. What do you want in the world to do with this? It just so tomorrow we'll have good example, and I'm sure some of the story will bring some emotion.
Yeah, it will move you. You will have, so get your tissue box with you as well, because we're going to make you cry tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doug, once again. And
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Caroline.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Make a friggin' decision. That's what Bob told me. Make a friggin'. He said friggin'. He goes, make a friggin' decision.
I love it.
Oh, and you did as well. And you've never looked back, have you, Doug?
Nope. I'm looking forward.
Yeah.
That's the way. Yeah.
All right,
thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.